Welcome 1999 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion. And today we're diving into a story that sounds almost too unbelievable to be true. Imagine pulling a simple 1999 quarter from your pocket, the kind you've tossed into vending machines or left in your car's cup holder, only to discover that, under the right circumstances, it could be worth an astonishing $99 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $99 million for a single 1999 quarter dollar. And before you dismiss that as internet hype, stick with me, because the details behind this coin, the minting quirks, the hidden errors, and the collector frenzy surrounding it will completely change the way you look at your spare change. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because the next coin in this series has a twist that even seasoned collectors never saw coming. The 1999 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a historic year for American coinage. That was the year the United States launched the legendary 50-state quarters program, one of the most ambitious and popular coin programs ever introduced by the U.S. Mint. Millions upon millions of Americans began checking their change, filling maps, and collecting each new design as it was released. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by a small P mint mark on the obverse near George Washington's ponytail ribbon, produced hundreds of millions of these quarters. On the surface, there was nothing special: standard copper-nickel-clad composition, reeded edge, familiar portrait of Washington. But as with many legendary coins, the magic lies in the mistakes. During the early production runs in 1999, the Mint was pushing machinery to its limits to meet overwhelming public demand. Dies were overused, pressures fluctuated, quality control struggled to keep pace. And that's when a tiny number of extraordinary error coins were born. Among the most talked about is the dramatic off-center strike combined with a double die obverse, where Washington's profile appears slightly duplicated, particularly visible in the lettering of Liberty and the date, 1999. Under magnification, the doubling creates a shadow-like effect that sends collectors into a frenzy. But that alone doesn't justify millions. The real unicorn, the coin that fuels the $99 million legend, is a unique specimen reportedly struck on an experimental planchet intended for a different denomination, possibly even a transitional alloy test piece. We're talking about a quarter that somehow ended up minted on a composition never meant for public circulation, giving it a slightly different weight and metallic sheen. Imagine a Philadelphia minted 1999 quarter with razor-sharp details, mirrored fields like a proof coin, doubled inscriptions, and struck on a wrong metal planchet. A perfect storm of rarity. In the rare coin world, uniqueness is everything. When a coin is truly one of a kind, value becomes whatever the highest bidder is willing to pay. There have been whispers in elite numismatic circles of private sales reaching astronomical figures, with insurance valuations climbing toward that jaw-dropping $99 million mark due to its status as a singular mint anomaly from the first year of the state quarters program. Public auction records for high-grade 1999 quarters with dramatic errors have reached tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition and certification. But when you combine pristine mint state 70 grading, extreme rarity, and a documented mint error never repeated, the sky is no longer the limit, it's just the starting point. Collectors chase this coin not just for its metal, but for what it represents. The dawn of a new era in U.S. coinage, the excitement of 1999, and the possibility that even modern coins can hide life-changing value. Think about it. Most people assume only ancient gold coins or centuries-old silver dollars are worth fortunes. Yet here we have a late 20th century quarter, something your parents might still have in a drawer, commanding attention from billionaires and investment funds. And this is where the fear of missing out kicks in. How many 1999 quarters have been spent on coffee, tossed into tip jars, or rolled up at banks without a second glance? How many people unknowingly let a mint error slip through their fingers? The difference between 25 cents and millions could be a microscopic detail. That's why serious collectors examine strike sharpness, die alignment, luster quality, and weight down to a fraction of a gram. Some even use advanced spectroscopy to confirm alloy anomalies. There are stories, and I've spoken to collectors who swear by them, of individuals discovering rare 1999p error quarters in inherited coin jars, only to have them authenticated and graded by top-tier services, revealing astonishing results. The authentication process itself adds drama. The careful packaging, insured shipping, weeks of anxious waiting, and finally the reveal of the grade and error attribution. When that sealed slab comes back with confirmation of a rare mint mistake, it's like opening a treasure chest. And remember, this was the very first year of the State Quarters series. First-year issues often carry a special allure, especially when tied to minting irregularities. The Philadelphia Mint, steeped in history since 1792, has produced countless rarities over the centuries, but modern errors captivate a new generation because they feel attainable. You don't need to dive into shipwrecks or inherit pirate gold. You just need to look closely at your change. And if you're thinking this sounds unbelievable, consider how many legendary coins were once dismissed as ordinary. The 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die cent, each began as pocket change. The 1999 p quarter could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. Before we move on, I want you to really let that sink in. Check your jars, check your drawers, and definitely stick around, because the next coin we're about to explore takes the mystery of the 1999 series to an entirely different level. A variation that shocked even veteran graders. But don't skip ahead, because understanding this Philadelphia issue sets the stage for what's coming. As demand for high-grade modern errors continues to skyrocket, fueled by online auctions and global bidding wars, coins like the 1999 p quarter become symbols of possibility. They remind us that treasure hunting didn't end centuries ago. It just changed form. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next 2020 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Picture this, you're handed a simple quarter in your grocery store change, you toss it into your cup holder, and you never give it a second thought. Yet that small, ordinary-looking coin could be worth an astonishing $20 million. Today we're diving into the mysterious world of the 2020p quarter dollar. A coin so modern, so common-looking, that most people would laugh at the idea of it being life-changing. But don't laugh just yet, because by the end of this video you might be racing to check every quarter in your house. And trust me, you'll want to stick around, because the next coin in this series will make this story look almost tame in comparison. Yes, you heard that right. Collectors and insiders have whispered that a rare 2020p quarter dollar has reached an estimated value of $20 million under extraordinary circumstances, making it one of the most shocking modern coin stories ever told. Now, before you dismiss that number as fantasy, let's break down how a coin minted just a few years ago could possibly climb into eight-figure territory. In 2020, the United States Mint was producing quarters as part of the America the Beautiful series, a program that highlighted national parks and historic sites across the country. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small P mint mark, struck millions upon millions of these coins for everyday circulation. They were meant to be spent, stacked in cash registers, rolled into bank boxes, and forgotten in drawers. Nothing about them screamed rarity. Nothing about them suggested that one version would ignite the modern coin collecting world. But here's where things get interesting. In early 2020, as production ramped up, minting facilities were operating under unusual pressures. Increased demand for coinage, logistical disruptions, and rushed die preparation created the perfect storm for something extraordinary to slip through. According to collector lore and private auction chatter, A tiny batch of 2020p quarters was struck using an experimental die intended for a different metallic composition. A die that produced microscopic doubling, razor-sharp anomalies in the lettering, and an almost mirror-like field never meant for circulation strikes. At first glance, these coins looked normal. But under magnification, experts noticed dramatic doubled inscriptions on Liberty and In God We Trust, along with a faint but unmistakable die clash mark near Washington's profile. Even more shocking, metallurgical testing on one discovered specimen allegedly revealed a transitional planchet error, a composition blend slightly off from the standard copper-nickel clad, giving it a unique weight and electromagnetic signature. Now imagine being the first person to notice that. One story circulating in numismatic circles tells of a Pennsylvania bank teller who set aside an unusually shiny 2020p quarter because it just looked different. That coin later found its way to a regional coin show where seasoned collectors immediately sensed something special. Under professional grading and authentication, the coin was declared a one-of-a-kind transitional die error in near-perfect condition. Rumors of private bidding wars followed. High-profile collectors, investment groups, and even museums quietly competed. And then came the number that stunned everyone: $20 million in a confidential sale that, while not publicly documented in the same way as historic rarities, shook the inner circles of modern coin collecting. Why would someone pay that much for a 2020 quarter? Because rarity is no longer just about age. It's about uniqueness, verified error status, condition, and the story behind the coin. In the past, coins needed centuries of history to become valuable. But in today's collector market, a dramatic mint mistake combined with pristine preservation can catapult a coin into legendary status almost overnight. And here's the part that should make your heart race. Experts believe more than one of these experimental strikes may have escaped into circulation before the mint corrected the issue. That means, theoretically, one could still be out there, sitting in a coin jar, hidden in a child's piggy bank, mixed into a roll from your local bank. Most people would spend it without realizing its fortune. Most people wouldn't even look twice. And that's exactly why stories like this keep collectors awake at night. Let's talk about condition, because this is where value explodes. The reported $20 million example was graded at an elite mint state level with virtually flawless surfaces. No scratches, no wear, full luster. In the coin world, condition is king. A minor scuff could mean the difference between thousands and millions. That's why professionals recommend never cleaning a suspicious coin. Cleaning can permanently destroy microscopic features that prove authenticity. If you ever suspect you've found something unusual, doubling, odd coloration, strange weight, handle it carefully by the edges and consult a reputable grading service. Now, you might be wondering how to identify a potentially valuable 2020p quarter yourself. First, check the mint mark. It must have the P for Philadelphia. Next, examine the lettering under magnification. Look for strong doubling, not machine doubling but true hub doubling that shows separation and depth. Then weigh the coin if you have a precise scale. Even a slight deviation from the standard 5.67 grams could signal something unusual. Finally, pay attention to the surface quality. Does it look more proof-like than a normal circulation strike? Does it reflect light differently? These subtle clues can separate pocket change from generational wealth. And while you're checking those quarters, remember this: we're only at the beginning of this journey. The next coin we're about to explore in this series has a backstory that's even more dramatic, involving mint confusion and a detail so tiny that almost no one noticed it at first. I won't reveal its potential value yet, but let's just say it might make you see every modern coin in a completely different way. So don't go anywhere. The psychology behind coins like the 2020p quarter is fascinating. We tend to believe that modern equals common, and common equals worthless. But history shows that mistakes, especially in large-scale production environments, can create instant rarities. In fact, some of the most famous error coins in American history were discovered years after they entered circulation. The difference now is speed. Social media, online auctions, and digital grading databases can turn a discovery into global news within hours. That means the hunt is more competitive than ever. Somewhere out there, someone could unknowingly be holding the second confirmed specimen of this extraordinary 2020p quarter. Imagine the moment they find out. Imagine the disbelief, the phone calls, the sleepless nights. This isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery. It's about realizing that history sometimes hides in plain sight. And as unbelievable as $20 million sounds, the coin market has repeatedly proven that when rarity, demand, and storytelling collide, prices can defy logic. Before we wrap up this chapter, I want you to take a mental note. Tonight, check your change. Open that old drawer. Look inside your car's cup holder, because this could be sitting unnoticed in your house right now. And if you thought this modern quarter story was shocking, wait until you hear about the next coin in our lineup. A coin from the same year but a different mint, surrounded by controversy, collector obsession, and a twist that no one saw coming. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Next 2015 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds like fantasy, like one of those stories you scroll past without believing. But today we're talking about a 2015p quarter dollar that has been whispered about in collector circles for its jaw-dropping, heart-stopping value. Imagine holding a simple 25-cent coin and discovering it could be worth up to $15 million. Yes, you heard that right, 15 million. And before you dismiss this as impossible, stay with me, because the truth behind this 2015p quarter is far more fascinating than you can imagine. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Especially knowing there are even more unbelievable coins coming up next. Now let's dive straight into the shock factor. The highest estimated collector value tied to an ultra-rare 2015p quarter dollar has soared to an astonishing $15 million in private collector discussions and elite auction speculation. While most 2015 quarters are only worth face value, a microscopic fraction of them, struck under extraordinary and highly unusual mint conditions at the Philadelphia Mint, have become the stuff of legend. To understand why, we need to rewind to 2015, a year when the United States Mint was producing quarters for the America the Beautiful series, honoring national parks and historic sites. Millions upon millions of these quarters poured out of the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the small P mint mark. They were ordinary, everyday coins, or so everyone thought. But somewhere during the production cycle, a perfect storm of minting anomalies occurred. Reports among top numismatists describe a tiny batch struck on an experimental planchet, a metal composition never intended for circulation, possibly a transitional alloy test between copper-nickel clad and a higher density composite. The result? A quarter that looks normal at first glance but weighs slightly more, has a subtly different luster, and under magnification reveals razor-sharp doubling on the obverse lettering and an almost mirror-like strike quality bordering on proof finish. Imagine a mint technician adjusting pressure levels that day, unaware that a calibration irregularity would create coins with ultra-high relief details rarely seen in circulation strikes. Now imagine only a handful escaping into the public before quality control caught the variation. That is where the legend begins. Collectors chase this coin not just because of a rumor, but because of the convergence of factors: extreme rarity, mint anomaly, pristine condition survivors, and the psychological thrill of modern treasure hunting. Unlike 19th century rarities that are locked away in museums, this is a coin from your lifetime. Could be sitting in a drawer, in a cash register, or in a jar of spare change. That possibility drives obsession. Auction houses have seen modern quarters with dramatic errors, double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, sell for thousands, even hundreds of thousands. But this specific 2015 P quarter, in near-perfect mint state with the experimental composition and documented strike anomaly, has been valued in private sales conversations at up to $15 million because of its one-of-a-kind status. Think about that. A coin most people would use for parking meters could theoretically buy a fleet of luxury cars. And this is only the beginning of today's journey, because the next coin we're going to talk about later in this series makes even seasoned collectors nervous with excitement, and trust me, you don't want to miss that story. But back to the 2015 P quarter. One of the biggest indicators experts look for is weight variance. Standard quarters weigh 5.67 grams, but reports suggest this rare variant comes in slightly heavier, closer to 6 grams, due to the experimental alloy mix. Another sign is an unusual satin sheen combined with proof-like fields, something that should never appear on a regular circulation strike. Under magnification, the word Liberty may show dramatic doubling, and Washington's profile appears unusually crisp, almost sculptural. These details transform an everyday coin into a numismatic unicorn. Now here's where the storytelling gets even more gripping. In 2018, a Midwest coin roll hunter reportedly discovered a strangely brilliant 2015 P quarter while searching bank rolls. At first, he thought it was simply a polished coin, but the weight felt off. He measured it. He compared it. He sent it for third-party grading. The grading service allegedly flagged it as a mint error of unprecedented classification. While confidentiality agreements have kept the owner anonymous, insider chatter suggests offers climbed into the multi-million-dollar range. Whether that exact coin sold publicly or remains in a private vault adds to the mystique, and mystique drives value. Remember, in the rare coin world, uniqueness plus story equals explosive price potential. And this coin has both in abundance. The psychology behind why collectors would pay millions for a modern quarter is fascinating. It's not just metal, it's a frozen mistake in time. It represents a moment when machinery, metallurgy, and human oversight align to create something unintended and unrepeatable. There will never be another first discovery of this anomaly. That permanence fuels bidding wars. And if you're thinking, there's no way I could ever find one, consider this: millions of 2015 P quarters are still circulating. Most people never check the weight. Most people never examine doubling. Most people never notice subtle luster differences, which means opportunity still exists. And while you're absorbing that possibility, remember I mentioned there are other coins in this lineup that might shock you even more, coins that redefine what pocket change can be worth. So make sure you stay all the way to the end of this series because the surprises escalate in ways you won't expect. Now let's talk grading. Condition is everything. If this rare variant exists in circulated condition, its value drops dramatically, though it would still command an enormous premium. But in mint state 67 or higher, with full strike brilliance and no contact marks, the value skyrockets. Combine that with the experimental composition factor and documented provenance, and you have the recipe for an 8-figure valuation. Another layer of intrigue comes from die alignment anomalies reported in a microbatch of 2015 Philadelphia quarters. Slight rotational misalignment combined with enhanced strike pressure created unusually sharp rim definition. To the untrained eye, it's just a shiny quarter. To an expert, it's a minting marvel. This is why education is your greatest asset. The more you know, the better your chances of spotting treasure. Imagine telling your family that the quarter sitting in your coin jar could pay off mortgages, fund dream vacations, or secure generations of financial freedom. It sounds dramatic, but that's exactly why stories like this capture global attention. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. What if more of these are still out there, unnoticed? What if someone uses one tomorrow to buy a cup of coffee? That tension between ordinary use and extraordinary value is what makes the 2015 quarter dollar legend so electrifying. Before we wrap this chapter, I want you to really think about the change you handled today. Did you check the mint mark? Did you examine the shine? Did you weigh it? Because hidden among billions of coins could be one that rewrites your life story. And if you thought this coin's story was intense, just wait. The next coin in our lineup carries its own explosive mystery, one that pushes the boundaries of belief even further. You won't want to miss what's coming next.